take a time out and say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio. Good morning once again. Those of you viewing via GBN TV, special good morning to you also. Whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning. What about those of you via social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning. And certainly hope all is well with you this morning. Started off the morning with some showers. Certainly there are folks who may be very, very happy for it. Yeah, got to take that heat down a little bit. Those of you who are thinking, hey, I needed to be on the outdoors pretty early in the morning and the rain probably may have hindered. Well, hope you get to do what you had to do during the course of the day today. So welcome to The Point. I'm your host, the GT. I'll be with you until it's at 10 a.m. this morning. And it's Wednesday, the 25th, the day of September. And you know what happens on a Wednesday here on To The Point. We do have various representatives who represent the government side here on the program. So let's take a time and say good morning and welcome to my guest this morning. That's, of course, Mr. Learrie Barry. I always seem to forget his full title. I hope he doesn't mind this morning. Me not giving him all the accolades that should have come wrong with me introducing him this morning. Well, Learrie, Mr. Barry, good morning to you, sir. And my apology if I didn't give you all the titles this morning.
No, we a pleasant good morning to you, a pleasant good morning to all your viewers and listeners on the various platforms. As usual, it's always a pleasure for me to be part of the exchange with you, GT, and our audience near and far. Of course, it's Learrie Barry, General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, and of course, part of the government's transition team and transition support team in government. It's a pleasure for us to have this opportunity, as usual, on a Wednesday.
Yes.
We want to keep the Grenada tradition alive this morning.
All right.
And while we could be talking some party business, the focus is on gratitude. So, GT, this morning, we're here to pay homage to those who have stood with us through thick and thin, and especially in our post-burial experience. But that's the framework this morning. I can touch briefly on a couple of important upcoming party events, and we'll take it from there. So over to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it was always a pleasure having a conversation with you, sir. It's always an interesting one to talk to you about, of course, issues that are, of course, of relevance for, of course, this beautiful trial of ours. And post-burial, let's get the conversation rolling. Be post-burial. The National Democratic Congress being in government, and it's not about a party issue here right now. It's all about Grenada as a whole, you understand? And yes. Our sister isles of Carriacou, Petit Martinique, the northern part of the island, and so forth. We know of the devastation that has taken place thus far. And the government response was overwhelming. There has been, lots of course, love being thrown out. I like to sometimes speak in the simple terms. Lots of love being thrown out to, of course, how it was handled. And I know there's also the negative side of things that folks have thrown out also. And that is expected. Yes. That is certainly expected. Now, everyone will not be happy about everything that will take place. There obviously someone will have a bit of a miscommunication with someone some way or the other. Talk to me, sir. Your views on the handling of Hurricane Beryl. Let's talk in the post, of course, circumstances of it right now. How is it going?
Thank you very much, GT. That is why we want to start this morning with the Grenadian tradition of gratitude. Because we've had an outpouring of support post-Beryl, just like we had an outpouring of support post-Hurricane Ivan. The devastation in Carriacou is well known. The response, as you have quite rightly put it, and many persons near and far have ranked, especially our Prime Minister and the government's response, to be a solid pass, a solid A rating for the performance from the Prime Minister through the burial itself, and the response and focal point of the response being our Honourable Member for Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs, Honourable Teben Andrew. So that and the support from our regional partners, the Prime Minister have made quite an interesting analogy that it is our neighbors, GT, who came to our aid first, and the most sustained aid came from our Caribbean counterparts. So GT, with respect to post-burial, our thanks, they say charity begins at home. We must thank, first and foremost, the immediate response through NADMA to collate all of the support that came in and to establish with the Grenada Ports Authority on Harvey Vale the collection site, the establishment of the distribution networks to support all our people in Carriacou and PT Martinique with food, some clothing, water, and the shelter support. We know, and sometimes we do not remember, small as well as large support from Grenada poured in from the church and the churches to small businesses. For example, we want to really pay a special thanks to Dean Mattress, because Dean Mattresses in Tempe provided over 35 sleeping foam for the shelters and over 30 mattresses, 50 foams and 30 mattresses to help with the immediate response. Sometimes we forget those small amounts of support that went far because the shelters needed as much as it needed cots. It got some very good solid foam for the sleeping arrangements for persons in shelters in addition to mattresses. We want to say a special thanks to the staff of the Carriacou and PT Martinique ministry who really came out and gave their all in helping coordinate together with the minister. We want to say a special thanks to the young people in the Catholic Youth Ministry. YEAC is the acronym for that group. They were out in Carriacou providing support. We want to say thanks to the political parties. Hundreds of party volunteers went to Carriacou in the immediate aftermath from the NDC. For the first month, they sustained, sometimes overcrowded efforts through Osprey and the Tyrrell Bay, going up to Carriacou to be part of the first responders cleanup. Hundreds of party supporters, not donning any party paraphernalia, just going up there and being part of the immediate aftermath cleanup efforts. And then, of course, we notice our colleagues from the New National Party contributed through their food program and so on. So the churches, political parties, local civic organizations, the Red Cross, and of course, the police, all chipped in, local businesses, the Islamic community. The Islamic community mobilized through their businesses in Grenada, through the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce, mobilized 50,000, as we recall, 50,000 US, together with supplies that they mobilized through the business community here and from Trinidad to get to Carriacou to provide the support. So charity begins at home. The National Democratic Congress and the government and people of Grenada, we are happy for the level of support locally that was able to help ease the monumental stress that occasioned from Beryl. Regionally, GT, regionally, we want to head the list of our regional counterparts who showed solidarity and resilience to us, the government and people of Guyana. GT, the government and people of Guyana are still on the ground in Carriacou. The soldiers are still at Hillsborough Secondary School. We want to say special thanks to the local businessmen in Carriacou, Sir Leo Joseph, and I'll tell you a story about that shortly, and Kim, and I'll tell you a story about that shortly. But they're partnering with the government to provide the kinds of support in Carriacou and for the regional support headlined by the government and people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. When I went on the Harvey Vale port, I was awed, GT and listeners and viewers, by the huge stacks of lumber on the Harvey Vale port. All sizes, 2x4, 2x6, 1x6, 1x12, 4x4. Truckloads upon truckloads offloaded from the barge, offloaded from the schooners, from Guyana. Then another section of the port, huge amounts of rice and sugar from Guyana. And then, of course, the soldiers who took up residency at Hillsborough Secondary School. And they carried out a planned, phased restoration of roofs of key government installations, public installations, police stations, courts, and other important government buildings. It's the first phase. and then to move to schools as another phase. Very structured, organized, planned intervention by the support from Guyana. We want to thank the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago for the remarkable support through their statutory bodies there, TNTech, as well as the support from government of fuel. And people of Trinidad and Tobago provided fuel to fuel the trucks and the heavy equipment to assist with the cleanup and the re-establishment and installation of electrical supplies on the Sister Isle, together with our own Glen workers who, for example, small, heroic services that in the case of Glen, for example, where they give 1 week continuous work, they have 24, 48 hours off. They forego some of the off time to just keep working on the Sister Isle. Heroic contributions among our local and regional counterparts. We want to thank the government and people of Dominica. 1 million in support. In addition, in fact, some Dominican technicians are going to be on the Sister Isle next week to provide continuous support. Our colleagues in the region have not turned away. They're continuing to provide support. That's why today it's a day of gratitude. The government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, despite the government and people of Antigua, the government and people of the Cayman, the government and people of St. Lucia again with equipment and financing for our restoration. The international groupings, everybody is quite grateful for the support that we have received from some of our international civic organizations and international partners. And therefore, we would not spare any effort to say a special thanks to Brother Devon Rache and his organization, the field hospital. They have provided financial relief and so on. Special thanks to UNICEF, have stepped in with the tents for the schools, educational materials, psychosocial support, and they have also provided some financial relief. So we have a great appreciation. International governments have chipped in, not to the extent that we expected, but we're still grateful for USAID with hundreds and hundreds of tents that the USAID provided to NADMA for covering of the roofs and so on, and our partners in the Canada, in the UK. In fact, one of the ministers from the government of Canada visited Grenada as part of a agricultural program here and did a tour, and we expect some support, additional support to the farming community. GT, that is the breadth of our thanks to all those who are shouldering the post-burial reconstruction for us.
All right.
Let me go to...
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Let me go to Carriacou quickly, because it's very important to explain a couple of things that has happened there. We know Kim, the king of a radio station. He has a supermarket. He have a guest house. Kim, the king, started the retrofitting of his supermarket roof, the retrofitting and restoration of his guest house, while accommodating in his guest house volunteers, many of the volunteers from around the world. I mean, there are a number of groups. We go to publish, we go to actually publish the entire list. The Prime Minister was in the Parliament, the first Parliament during the supplementary estimates GT, where he listed over 30 countries and organizations, and he listed the specific amounts that they gave. We're going to be publishing that in addition to it being on the Hansard at the Parliament. But local businesses in Carriacou and some very big-hearted Grenadians and Carriacouians, and I'll come to them in a minute. We must say thanks. It's gratitude morning. Kim, housing volunteers who are on the ground assisting with the restoration. When the extent of his expense was recognized, a small contribution towards his ongoing efforts was made. It comes to the equivalent of 10% of his overall costs for the restoration works that he's been doing on his property, so that he can continue to accommodate volunteers in Caribou. Similarly, Mr. Leo Joseph. Mr. Leo Joseph owns a medical business, he owns businesses in Caribou. And he has just come because we have to return schools for the use. So, for example, Hillsborough Secondary School, where the Guyanese have taken up occupancy to be part of the restoration effort in Carriacou, he has offered, and we have graciously accepted, the entire upstairs. In fact, at one stage, we were considering renting that upstairs for relocation of TAMCC because the facility in TAMCC was not fit for the continued use of a school. Yeah, so we were even considering it's a big upstairs. I went there. It's a very, very excellent accommodation. He has provided it free so that the Guyanese at Hillsborough will move there at Mr. Joseph's cost. He is going to house them there so they could continue their restoration of the work they're doing in Carriacou, while we can then, they're going to clean up the school and fix up the school for the return to school in Hillsborough. And then Mr. Leo Joseph has said, look, let them move to upstairs the CHS health facility, my facility downtown in Hillsborough, and they will set up there. Do you know that despite the damages to his hotel, the Mermaid Hotel, the parts of the hotel that were proper after burial, he gave it to host the RSS on island in Carriacou. These are heroic services and support by local partners in Carriacou, local businesses, to give support to the restoration effort. So we thank Kim, thank Brother Leo, we thank the others in Carriacou who have offered. Former Finance Minister Nazim Burke, his family property, very nice property, untouched by burial. His mom's place, has offered that place to house volunteers. We have graciously accepted. Chair of the Integrity Commission, Bristol, cottages in Carriacou, untouched, offered it to host volunteers and persons to help with the restoration. Graciously accepted. We say thanks. We appreciate those contributions, and we are very grateful for the work. In Carriacou in particular, we know after Ivan, in some instances, we had some very challenging experiences in some of the schools. It took 2 years. But I'll tell you a little story about the Holy Cross RC. The Holy Cross RC in Munich, the church hall was initially used for the school after the devastation by Hurricane Ivan. They first went for 7 months in a tent, just like how some of the students are going into UNICEF tents in Carriacou. They went to a tent on the field in Munich, the playing field in Munich. Then they were housed in the church hall for about 5 to 7 years, or even 9 years actually, until the government of Grenada and the World Bank completed a loan financing for the building of a new school. That school was occupied in 2016. 2017 is when that school took up its new occupancy. So from 2004, after Ivan, a new school for the Holy Cross RC children was occupied in 2017. In 2017. Yes, 13 years after Hurricane Ivan. Today, as the government move to repair St. Giles Anglican School, which is down the road from the Holy Cross RC in Munich, because the size of the facility, the Holy Cross RC, the brand new school, because of the size of that school, the school population is about 90. The St. Giles school population is about the same amount. Do you know both schools are now housed in Munich in that new facility that was built? That facility now accommodates the existing school, Holy Cross RC, and the St. Giles Anglican in the existing facility. Very comfortable. I worked there as a short-term consultant with the World Bank on social and environmental safeguards. So I was the social and environmental safeguards specialist for social and environmental safeguards on that and other schools. So I know it was an excellent project some deficiencies, but overall excellent project, and we see the benefit. But it's 13 years later we were able to make the occupancy. So we ought not to cry so extensively about the resumption of school, because the pattern we see in Carriacou, I mean, if you've been on the ground, GT, and those who have been on the ground in Carriacou, Dover was flattened. So some UNICEF tents is being set up there. Only the library in Dover, only the library part of that compound. Of course, the school should have been, just like I indicated earlier, we were trying to relocate from TAMCC in 6 Roads. That school should have been relocated already. Yeah, it should have been relocated several years now. But be that as it may, we are here giving thanks for the contributions everyone is making, and we are very grateful for that.
All right, Mr. Barry, I know you want to give a lot of love, a lot of thanks, and the gratitude that you said. You promised to be briefed. I know, but I certainly do appreciate it. I know those who, of course, you were mentioning, I appreciate a lot of the love and the appreciation that you're showing out this morning. But we drew for a break. We have to take it.
Thank you.
When we come back, I want us to spend a little time talking about the recovery efforts, of course, by government. And this is also important. The housing development and so forth that will be taking place.
And I have some excellent news on that as well.
All right. When we come back, I want to spend a little time talking about that. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We coming right back. Don't touch it out.
Looking to take your business to new heights? Advertise with GBN on our social media platforms and get noticed by our 138,000 plus followers. Reach a massive engaged audience ready to connect with your brand. No matter your business size, GBN is here to help you grow. Contact us today at admin@gbn.gd or WhatsApp 407-8458 to get started. GBN is your home for this year's Republic Bank CPL. Please note there will be adjustments to our programming lineup on Wednesday, September 25th. Transitions will air at 5:05 p.m., followed by GBN Television News at 6 p.m. And don't miss the news repeat right after the CPL match. Transitions will also be rebroadcast after the news repeat, so you won't miss a thing. GBN, your trusted source for sports coverage anywhere and everywhere.
We'll give the best we've got. Hands up, right up.
The Grenada Motor Club will be hosting its second and final international drag racing event for 2024 at Perth International Speedway on September 28th and 29th. Expect the fastest set of drag cars and bikes the Caribbean has to offer. September 27th, meet and greet at Lavo Lanes. September 28th, test and tune bracket race qualifiers. And after drags, chill out at Sizzle Bar and Lounge. September 29th, drag race finals at Perth International Speedway. There will be a special guest appearance by one of the Caribbean's top drag racers and a special drift performance by one of the Caribbean's top drifter. Mark the dates, September 28th and 29th at Perth International Speedway is the place to be. You don't want to miss this one.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio. With us this morning, we have Mr. Learrie Barry with us this morning. And, of course, we're talking a whole lot this morning. And, of course, Mr. Barry, in his opening statement this morning, spoke a lot about the gratitude that the government is extending, especially to folks who show that solidarity, of course, post-Hurricane Beryl. Mr. Barry, welcome back once again. Let us get into the conversation, what I mentioned that we were going to get into in this segment of the conversation this morning. The recovery efforts.
Yes.
We want to hear what are some of the plans that the government do have in terms of recovery efforts, where a lot of the emphasis would be put into, especially into housing, because that's a pivotal part and a concerning part. There are lots of folks, especially in the Sister Isles, who may have lost their home and so forth, and are looking for some way to get things back up and running for them. Let us hear some of the plans that is available, especially on the housing part of it, in all parts of the recovery effort, of course, post-Hurricane Beryl.
Excellent. Thank you, GT. The plans and current achievements are heartwarming for what we have seen in post burial in the current setting. So, for example, let's start with the Chinese housing scheme in Dumfries. We have 100 units there. Of course, you know, we introduced a new approach to the Chinese low-cost housing with the specific aim of helping Grenadians who apply for these houses to purchase them and to make use of the equity. And that's another conversation where we really have to spend a little time, GT. We'll have to spend some time on the excellent value proposition of owning one of these apartments in the Chinese housing scheme. I've been to them. I don't know if you have been, GT. They are beautiful. Good quality material, nice furnishings and fittings. Fit for anyone to have an excellent, warm and comforting environment to live in. These Chinese low-cost housing. Certainly the material ain't low-cost. So in the case of the 100 units in Carriacou, in Dumfries, over 20 persons have already secured the financing to buy those apartments and have occupied. Another 20, 30 persons who have either expressed interest in buying or are in the process of purchasing. We are ensuring that some small retrofitting that has to take place in those apartments do occur. And that's why part of the reason for the occupancy not being rushed for persons who were in shelters, it could not be rushed because some of the apartments were already purchased, over 20. And then you have another 20 to 30 were on the sale with the potential buyers already. So that's half. But the government, in getting ready for investing in our children's future by having them return to school, we have relocated some of the persons who are at shelters to some of the apartments in Six Roads, in Dumfries, that have not yet been purchased. So they are temporarily relocated some persons from the shelters there. And we really must emphasize that a certain amount of the apartments in all 5 of the Chinese low-cost housing, 4 in Grenada and the 1 in Carriacou, we always keep 6 to 10 apartments for emergency use, fire victims, other persons with domestic and other circumstances. We always do. And we don't want to compromise that. So you'll always have 6 to 10 remaining unoccupied for emergency purposes. So far, we're very happy that of the remaining 50, 60 apartments in the Chinese housing complex in Six Roads, we have volunteers who come from far and wide to help with our work there. We accommodate them there, and we have utilized the rest of the apartments with persons from shelters. So it's a very good development, and we're happy how that is going. Right next door, we have 27 hurricane-resistant homes being built through the contribution of an organization. I really want to say, I know I say a lot of thanks already, but another special thanks to this organization. Let me just say, they're called Caring Hands. Let me just give you the specifics. We have started construction there. In fact, the 27 homes and the construction in Dumfries, when we hear a lot of criticism about the site, this is one of the most expensive in terms of the view of the island keys, the topography, the location. Is an absolute gem. And I'm happy that since coming into office of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, when he moved to build on the work of former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas to reclaim our beachfront property and never to be sold, and we're going to go to the Parliament with legislation to prevent any future sale of our beachfront property. In the case of Six Roads, in the case of Dumfries, with the 27 houses gifted to us by Caring Hands out of Philadelphia, we are happy that some of the best lands in Carriacou are being built for ordinary people there. The work has started, and we have videos and pictures that we could share showing the preparation of the construction of those 27 homes for 27 families in that area. So we're very happy for that development. The work has started. We are extremely happy for a commitment to build back 50 of our Build Back Better homes. We had an excellent launch in Sotes last week. Excellent launch of the Build Back Better program. We have started a rollout of 50 of the Build Back Better homes. Those 50 homes, we expect to have them ready for people to move in at Christmas or to have a very happy start to the Happy New Year 2025. 50. But the best part, and I'm really happy for the work of Honorable MP. I mean, this brother don't sleep. I mean, sometimes the Prime Minister had to demand that he come to Grenada and go on Granans Beach and walk and stroll. So you carry the whole thing on your shoulder, you're going to collapse. Yeah? Prime Minister has to say to him, come down. You can't do it all. He has really been working night and day. That Honorable MP, Tevin Andrew. 200 level 1, level 2. We have a very structured, planned, organized reconstruction effort. Very planned and organized, GT. I am grateful for the compliments of the NNP Senator for Karaku on your program yesterday. He was quite complimentary. We joined in his complimentary tone on Project Pristine because there's a very structured approach. So in the immediate aftermath, I already paid homage to the hundreds of volunteers who went up to start the cleanup. Then we have a program called Project Pristine by the Honorable MP for St. John and Minister for Climate Resilience and Environment, who conceived Project Pristine with our local and international partners, where the government set out zones in Karaku and hired the people of Karaku, young people, people of all ages and persuasions in the Project Pristine program. It was phenomenal, a phenomenal success. So we clean up first. So we have opportunity for people to move to tents, to move to other locations, to help with a temporary reconstruction, temporary covering, so that the work in schools and so on can go on. So Project Pristine has been a tremendous success. And it paid, so people had an opportunity for good income. Having done that, the physical assessment of the damages required ranking levels of damage. Level 1 and 2 roof damage. Level 1 and 2 roof damage, where part of the structure still remains, and the preliminary architectural review is that it can be reinforced to put back a roof on. Level 1 and level 2 roof damage. We have started construction, replacement of roofs for the first 200. For the first 200 level 1 and level 2 roof damage. So it is going to go in that phased approach. So you start with level 1, level 2. We have over 200. Contractors have been contracted. Work has started with the restoration of level 1, level 2 damaged roofs, so that in the next couple of months, we should see at least 200 homes properly repaired so that persons get back in. That is in addition to persons who have started, and we have to pay homage to local homeowners who use their insurance, use their savings to get their work on. I was up there a week and a half ago, I think. A couple of restaurants have back, able to buy food and so on. So a couple of people have actually used their resources to start getting the ball rolling. So those 200 homes is the biggest, in addition to the 27 homes from the Caring Hands, in addition to the 50 Build Back Better, our biggest feel-good post-burial reconstruction effort, having done the preliminary work that had to be done. We couldn't rush to put back homes without properly assessing them, without properly cleaning up the place, without properly mobilizing the procurement of material, ensuring that the local businesses in Karaku are properly stocked with the critical materials needed, 2x4, 2x6, and so on. We have done that, and the biggest piece of this great effort that we are happy for is level 1 and level 2 homes with level 1, level 2 damage as assessed by our damage assessment ranking have started. Contractors have been contracted. Work has started for these 200 families.
All right, thank you so much for, of course, and I'm certainly, of course, the residents of Carriacou and Petit Martinique are happy to, of course, get some clarification, especially in terms of the housing situation there, who are, of course, not knowing here on me, and some of us here on me not knowing, of course, what has been taking place, and we're certainly happy to hear, of course, that they certainly will be taken care of in terms of their housing. So thank you very much for that information shared this morning. Let's talk about, there's been recent announcement, especially from the Minister of Agriculture and so forth, as relates to some of the support packages that will be offered to farmers. Let's get some information. Maybe you could offer some more clarification on those support packages that have been offered. Let's hear from you.
Excellent. I'm grateful for the government's effort. The checks have started rolling out. Farmers have started receiving checks. We're not fully satisfied. That we could have had much more. We could have had much more payments at this stage. But the elements associated with the assessments, the monitoring the assessments, because the monitoring and evaluation of these payout programs require careful monitoring frameworks. Because the best of us do have among us some of others who want to do other things. So the problem we did have some inadequate follow-up for some farms. You have multi-farm settings. Somebody have livestock. They have short crop. They have tree crops. They have root crops on the farm. And therefore, some of the assessments took a little longer than others. And in some instances, access to some of the farmlands and so on was a bit tricky. Yeah, so that would have delayed the assessment. And once the assessment was delayed, the multiply effects, the chain of delays goes down the road. So that more effort and some additional human resources to be invested into that was part of what we could have done a little better to help speed up the payments. But the payments have started, right? We have various categories of payments. I'm very happy to hear I was with a farmer in our parties, efforts to engage persons. Recently, we heard a farmer talking about the excellent value for the $50 they're paying for the bag of fertilizer, when in fact is $199 ordinarily for it. So we had about 3,000 bags of fertilizer coming in the various grades of fertilizer for different types of crops. We've had about 3,000 coming in from our various partners, and including some of our government purchase. And the government is on selling for farmers at $50. And in some instances, there are some other grants associated with that effort. So far, the checks have started. I am aware because a farmer told me he received his $9,000. He received his $9,000 for having lands above, I think he has about 15 acres. Yeah, we do know, and I want to put it out here now, we do know that there are some farmers who haven't had to begin investing in chainsaw operations. Some of them have had to clear up their lands because of the vine and the rate at which the rain caused rapid growth of weed and vine. They had to take on additional responsibilities. So they are indicating to us, in some instances, the amount of income support is already eaten up by the amount of work and some of the investments they've had to make in their own rehabilitation. So we appreciate that. We understand that, right? But we needed to have a methodology. So the methodology was under 5 acres and 10 or more acres and so on to have the different income support. But in addition to the fertilizer program, we have a range of other programs. You can, so farmers, GT, with crops and livestock, you have the income support, but you can also apply, don't forget, you can apply for repairs to pens. Yeah, you can apply for that in addition to other livestock assistance. And we currently have a World Bank program running where we're providing some startup livestock, 2 pigs, a goat, 2 goats, a sheep, and 60 or 100 poultry under the World Bank Food Security Program. Good brother, one of our best livestock experts in Grenada, Nugent Bernard, more than 35 years experience in livestock expertise from the military. He is leading that project. And of course, we do have the farm labor support program. I mean, it's extensive. I know some farmers who would have preferred the week and the 3-day support for farm labor. Some people got a day in light of the sheer magnitude of demand. Yeah, but we also want to say that is the same National Democratic Congress came to office in 2008 and had to pick up the agriculture sector from the ground after Ivan. The agriculture sector, 2004, 2008, essentially abandoned. When we came in, we introduced the Farm Labor Support Program. That program has survived and it has been reestablished under the National Democratic Congress again, and expanded support in addition to the additional program of support rolled out by the Ministry of Finance recently. So that's where we are with that. Because I know we have to take a couple of calls and so on.
Yeah.
GT.
So we due for a break. We due for a break.
Two other things.
All
just
right.
Very quickly.
We due for a break. Let's take it. And when we come back, of course, we have, of course, two other matters, our questions I may like to ask you about, and then we take the callers, because I'm seeing the calls already started coming in. Folks do have a lot of questions they may like to ask us. I'm giving you the liberty to, of course, express a lot of information this morning. So I was sitting back and absorbing myself in terms of the information that you're throwing out. Let's take that break, and when we come back, we'll be right back with, of course, our listeners and viewers. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out.
It's the event you won't want to miss. GIDC Business Deals Day is happening on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Frequenty Industrial Park playing field. Explore the latest products and service offerings from businesses within the industrial parks. Enjoy discounts on GIDC business support services and get fantastic deals on household items, building materials, accessories, condiments, and more, with exciting prizes up for grabs throughout the day. But that's not all. Dive into a mini health fair and career expo for valuable health education and employment opportunities, all while enjoying the songs of Trio the Band and DJ Graphic Sounds. It will be a fun-filled day filled with eats, drinks, games, deals, and more. Mark your calendars and join the GIDC at Frequenty Industrial Park playing field on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. See you there.
This holiday season, get ready for a magical celebration packed with culinary delights, crafts, and music that will bring joy to your heart. But that's not all. Lots of giveaways are waiting for you. Stay tuned and make this Christmas one to remember only with GBN. Looking to take your business to new heights? Advertise with GBN on our social media platforms and get noticed by our 138,000 plus followers. Reach a massive engaged audience ready to connect with your brand. No matter your business size, GBN is here to help you grow. Contact us today at admin@gbn.gd or WhatsApp 407-8458 to get started.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers. Classic Radio, GBN TV. Good morning once again to Mr. Learrie Barry with us this morning. And of course, we're dispensing a whole lot of information this morning. It's one of those mornings that I decided to sit back and absorb a lot of the, absorb, I should say, a lot of the information being thrown out this morning. And certainly do appreciate that, sir. So I wanted to ask you as reference to, of course, I know recently the addition to Parliament, the National Youth Parliament and so forth. Let me hear some information shared about that. And I know there's something passionate about it that you want to speak about. So let's hear that from you this morning.
Indeed. Thank you very much, GT. GT, there are two elements, the Youth Parliament. But just before we do, let me really and truly thank the conscious contributions of Sandals Foundation, La Luna, and CPL. GBN is carrying CPL. It's an exciting tournament. GT, the CPL contributed 50,000 US to the students of Karakou to go to Nulo and the TAMCC. The Prime Minister went to St. Kitts on government business. He was told a couple of matches happening downtown. He was invited to join to have a bit of the match. He said while he was there, and he did make that very comment I'm about to make at the handover of the packages, the education packages to the students. In fact, initially it was 60, it is almost 90. So we're mobilizing the resources. We just paid out $222,000 to just over 60 students from Karakou and Petit Martinique who are at Nulo and TAMCC. But the interesting story that I must share, the Prime Minister sat watching the match for a few minutes. The head of CPL was pointed out. It was pointed out to the head of CPL. Here's the Prime Minister of Grenada. He moved over, introduced himself, sat next to the Prime Minister and expressed his best wishes for the recovery on the Sister Isles and in St. Mark. In fact, he knew St. Mark and St. Patrick were heavily damaged as well as the agriculture sector. He knew. And he said to the Prime Minister, what can CPL do? The Prime Minister could have asked for agriculture. He could have asked for housing. He could have asked for, we just hired a company from Trinidad to clean up the marina and the oyster beds and so on, some serious environmental work. We paid millions to a company to remove all the yachts. You saw the first images of all these yachts that were bashed in and so on onto our shores. We have some special work doing, clean up the seashore and the marinas and the bays and the oyster beds and to rehabilitate them, yeah? So that's another aspect of the work we're doing. But what did the Prime Minister say to the gentleman, the head of CPL? He said, listen, we are investing in our future in Grenada. We cannot compromise investing in our future. We have some of our brightest and our best from the Sister Isles. We want to be able to properly finance the continuation of our children from Petit Martinique and Karakou. Those who are at TAMCC at the tertiary level, we want to support them on the mainland as far as possible. Whatever contribution you're going to make, I want to designate it to the brightest and the best in the future that comes from Karakou and Petit Martinique. He said, consider it done, sir. 50,000 US was sent. And he's going to finance the internship of several of them to come to the finance and to do some protocols and to do some serving and to do some other work with CPL and pay them handsomely for their work at the CPL. The Prime Minister initiated the contribution when La Luna called. And when he called Sanders Foundation, he said, students from Karakou at TAMCC and Nulo, we want to make ensure they don't have a single break. So say, so done. And this is the first Prime Minister who took TAMCC with him to his inaugural speech at the UN. He's at the UN as we speak. And when his inaugural speech at the UN, he took the future of this country with him. He said, we invested in our future, we're removing tuition from TAMCC and Nulo. The government is paying 1.7 million to TAMCC and a couple $100,000 to Nulo, so our students could go there and get the best training and education. That is the mind and mettle of Honorable Prime Minister Deepak Mitchell. We're really proud of him. He could have asked for anything for anyone else or any other sector, but investing in the future is a priority. So I had to put that in.
All right.
Grateful and thankful to the Prime Minister. The Youth Parliament is a first of its kind addition. I'm really happy to see former MP for St. John's. It's an excellent move the Ministry of Youth made to hire the very politically savvy, combative, seriously experienced ambassador to Cuba, former ambassador to Cuba, now serving the government and people of this country, former MP and former ambassador Clarice Charles. She is one of the facilitators leading our efforts with these youths in a signature addition to the National Youth Parliament. We're grateful for the Youth Parliament activities coming through the years. So both governments who have occupied the seats of power in this country have put their effort into the Youth Parliament program. We're grateful. We have taken it up a step further. GT, we've taken it up a notch. We are going to mirror, for the first time in the history of this country, we're going to mirror national elections with the National Youth Parliament. the youth parliament program started at the parish level. So you had the parish debates. They took the best out of the parish debates and bring them forward now to constituency campaign for the National Youth Parliament. They have to campaign and be voted by young people between the age of 16 to 35. Those young people between the age of 16 and 35, those who don't have certainly those who are not yet registered to vote, they can use their birth certificate. They can use at 16, 17, you can use your TAMCC NULO ID. You can use your birth certificate and you can participate. Youthelections.gov. The link is there. You're registered to vote just like you would register. But the unique thing about this is we are seeing the future right before our very eyes, where these young people are able to vote using electronic voting. So this is a preemptive view of potential mixed modality for elections in the future, because they are going to be voting all electronic. The youth parliament will run for 2 years, so they'll be elected on the 5th. The elections is on the 5th of December. Registration ends on the 29th, I believe, the 25th, I'm subject to correction, the 25th or the 29th of November. The link is now out, and they have started their campaigning. I'm urging our people. They are not representing parties in the youth parliament. They're not representing parties. Of course, you have young people from both parties who have made it forward. They are representing constituencies. 2 per constituency going up against each other, but they're not going up as adversaries. They're going up for who gets the most vote win, not as adversaries. So they have a platform. When they come before you, please encourage them, support them, show them some love, give them. In fact, one of them campaigning that we were on the ground yesterday, and we happened to come across one who was on the ground yesterday as well, and we were exchanging experiences they have. And
all
so
right.
one person.
But you know, Mr. Barry, we are a bit strapped for time. We did have the youth coordinator last Wednesday, and of course, she did share a whole lot in reference to the youth parliament. So
thank you very
maybe
much.
no need to expand anymore on it for this morning. Of course, we just have approximately a few more minutes left on the program, and the phones have been going. I do have a couple of folks on hold who of course would like to get into a couple of questions to you this morning. So we're going to go directly to the phone lines and accommodate some of the callers. Let's take our first caller for the morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Telesford.
Good morning to you, sir.
Just a little clarity, because I tuned into your program late, but just to get some clarity, because I'm a bit confused. You see, is it we going up and up and up so fast that we changing directors to the Government Information Service? Just a while ago in your recommencement of the last segment, got the name of some Larry Barry or something of the sort. I've never heard the gentleman before. Excuse me, but tell me, which department of the government of Grenada does he represent, sir? Just to get some clarity, because I'm certainly confused. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, will you, sir?
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning. And I guess Mr. Barry did, of course, mention, of course, his reason for being on the program this morning when he did.
I'm part of the government's transition team for the benefit of the citizen Rolo. I'm a member of the government's transition team.
All right. 435-2041.
But Mr. GT,
yeah.
There was an earlier part that it was difficult for me to hear. Was there an earlier part?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't.
Okay, good. Okay.
I'm not sure the reason why you're not hearing, but let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Oh, yes. Good morning to you, GT. How are you today?
Doing pretty well. Just go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yes, good morning to your guests, if you have a guest. Now, I'm operating without a radio today, so I can't hear any feedback. I don't know if you have a special program. But let me say this. My concern, sir, serious, has to do with the war in...
Sir, before you continue, that's not the level of the conversation we're having this morning. It's not a direct open phone line for, of course, anyone we're speaking to Mr. Learrie Barry this morning. And if you have a conversation at that level, maybe you could ask a question on that level. But, of course, it's not just a direct open line this morning. So sorry about that. 435-2041, 435-2041, that's the number. And those of you who are following and, of course, been listening to Mr. Barry, of course, expressing a lot of the gratitude. We started off showing off a lot of gratitude, of course, to folks who offered the assistance to Grenada. Folks, Hurricane Barely spoke about the housing program so forth this morning. Of course, he ended a while ago. I have to tell him what we did heard a lot about it last week from, of course, the youth coordinator in terms of the youth parliament and so forth. We have, of course, and she did speak a whole lot in reference to that. And, of course, he was offering more information on it. But, of course, let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning, and you're live.
Good morning. One question. Did Mr. Barry watch GBN News last night? Yes, of MP.
Well, I'm not sure if he did. Mr. Barry,
I'm not hearing properly at all. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure.
Can you repeat the question?
He was actually, if you did look at the news last night, and I think he's referencing to, of course, one of the, there was a particular news item reference to, of course, individuals in Carriacou who was referring about the agricultural assistance
Yes.
and so forth.
Yes, I did.
I guess the caller was actually referencing to that, and I'm assuming that's where the question he's probably posting coming from.
Well, let me just say quickly, I did indicate earlier that we know some farmers have not yet been reached, and I gave an explanation as to why. So for the farmers in Carriacou, I did see from GBN, they did cover some of the persons who were relocated to some tents. I did see some other, and another news item last night, they did interview a couple of farmers who said that they have not yet received assistance and some of the challenges they were having. And I did explain we are not satisfied, and we know we could have had the rollout of the income support and the other supports sooner. I gave explanation as to why that challenge is on and why we're facing that challenge. But we are reaching, we started the payments, so the access to those farmers in Carriacou will be speeded up, and I explained that earlier.
We do have another caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, and you're welcome. Let's hear from you.
Hey, Mr. Barry, good morning. Mr. Barry, it's nice to have you there. Some people may ask the question, why now? You know, we ain't so much chatting about the government, and you know the position that you held in the party. So I really appreciate you. Okay, one of the things that farmers is complaining that towards the feed, that when they go to collect the feed, is only one bag of feed that they're getting. And then I'm hearing that tomorrow is the last day for farmers who have lands and register so they could get money. So maybe you could give us some highlight on that. And I'm glad to see you all there. This is what NDC need. NDC need people like you to be all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Respond to the caller.
Thank you very much. GT, we need to advertise in a few days whenever I'm coming back, because I've been on a few times.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
so
did.
Probably, maybe GBN could say, come in on next Wednesday is X person or Y person. But I've been on caller. I've been on a few times. I've been on the Bob Report. I've been around. Okay, thank you for your question. I did mention the fertilizer support. The one bag could only be the case now because of the dwindling supplies. I'm certain when the supplies increase or when a new batch, because we brought in at least 3,000 to help with the farm support. So it must have been a case where we dwindle in and there's some limitations. As soon as we restock, sure, we'll go back to the and then, of course, I did say it's $50 per bag. So you would expect a vast demand on it. It is incorrect, caller, that the payments are ending tomorrow. Far from that, the Minister for Agriculture indicated that income support will go right up to end October, mid-November. We're hoping to cover all the registered farmers. All. There are farmers who are not registered. Some of what we've picked up so far. Some of the farmers who are not registered and have had substantive losses, we are helping to get them registered so that they can be incorporated into the program. So, caller, it is not the case. Not the case whatsoever. The Minister of Agriculture did make it clear the income support will go up for 3 months, so we expect the continuation because we have farmers to still A, register, B, assess, verify the assessment, and then engage in the payment.
Caller via WhatsApp, good morning. You're welcome. Let's hear from you.
Good morning. It is Mr. Telesford and two on your guests. Just a few, three brief points. One, I always say the hallmark of a good leader is putting the right people in place with the skill sets to do the job. I think the Prime Minister was very wise to place Mr. Barry where he is. Kudos. Secondly, a few years ago, I saw the NIS advertising lands for sale in the Visitors magazine, and the agent was a white man. And I was disturbed by this because I thought that the NIS belonged to the Grenadians, and why these lands were not advertised for Grenadians to get. The average Grenadian do not read the Visitors magazine. The magazines are placed in the tourist board, the airport, the hotel and guest house for visitors. Thirdly, recently so I was becoming very scared that Grenadians, the average Grenadian, the average worker who working at the minimum wage level would not be able to afford housing in Grenada. I was becoming very scared, and I'm so delighted that this government is very proactive in providing housing for Grenadians, the average Grenadian, because the average Grenadians cannot buy land $10 and $15 a square foot. They also can't afford rent. Most of these people with these places asking for rent at $1,500, and they're asking for US. How come Grenadians could pay US for rent when they're working for EC? So, sir, I thank you for accommodating me. Have a blessed morning.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. We do have another caller. Let's take this caller. Caller, good morning. I guess we lost that caller. Mr. Barry, I'm not sure if you heard everything the previous caller did mention, and if you want to respond in any way in terms of what you mentioned.
Very quickly. Well, thanks for your complimentary observations, caller. 1, 2, lands for sale, and you said by a white man, and it's being advertised through foreign magazines, not advertised locally. I'm uncertain where there might be lands for sale advertised by realtors. So you may have local realtors who may be advertising land for sale on the international market. And you have the IMA program where you have potentially lands advertised for or properties and investments advertised. Now, I'm grateful for the International Migration Office, formerly CBI. I'm grateful for the local advertising that they have on GBN. So I think the IMA have taken the initiative to advertise locally for its program. And I think it would be good where those lands the lady observed are being advertised through this white person abroad. It would be good if they are listening to advertise all lands to your local people. But the government has taken a decision that housing is going to be a plank for the future of this government and this country. We have Project 500 coming up. It's a phenomenal program. The government, during our June 2024 second year anniversary town halls, the town hall in Boca, the Prime Minister outlined, we're going to have 7 or 8 models on a bit of government land in Dunfermline. The whole country will go at times to see these models, and we'll have an opportunity. And I'm talking about the model in person, not on a picture. So they'll build, we'll observe, we'll then apply. Project 500 is coming. It's a big part of the government's plank for its manifesto commitments. We expect to roll out these 500 homes within or as part of our government's achievements over the next couple of years.
All right.
And finally, the housing for Grenadians, you have several categories. So we have the Project 500. Currently, we have the Chinese housing scheme. We are giving opportunities to buy these properties with equity. So you're paying much less than it's valued for. So you could use that equity to open a shop, to take loans against it. That's equity. That's a great part of it. That's very transformational. We have Housing Authority have a program up to 40,000. You could get a loan there, and the government just strengthened its social housing through the Ministry of Social Development for low-income people. You can now get a small home. I mean, the demand it outstrips supply, but it's 24,000 to a small 2-bedroom wooden structure with concrete pillars. It used to be 17, and the 8,000 repairs now moved to 12.
All right. Let's take our final caller, and of course, Mr. Barry will get some closing contribution through after, of course, this caller from WhatsApp. Caller from WhatsApp, good morning. You're welcome. Let's hear from you, please. And will be my final caller for the morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. And good morning to Mr. Barry. I would like to ask a question. I'm not sure if you would be able to answer, or if he can, I guess, maybe allow that conversation amongst the government with regards to policy where insurance for housing is concerned. We're hearing a lot about building back better and the government assisting individuals with housing and all of that. But I'm not sure if it's not in my space, but I'm not hearing much about the conversation about educating individuals on insurance, or maybe even considering policy where insurance is concerned, because as we know, we are in the hurricane belts and we can't avoid it. So even the houses that the government will be assisting individuals with, would we insure those policies, and then the house owners would be charged to ensure that the policy stays afloat? That's just my contribution.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Mr. Barry, I hope you were able to hear what the caller did mention, and of course, offer some response.
Yes, indeed. Excellent contribution. The conversation with respect to home insurance, the Prime Minister did start the conversation both in terms of his presentations at the Parliament and in other press conferences. But the caller is making a critical addition to the conversation by the Prime Minister, i.e., we encourage home insurance. And we encourage budgeting for home insurance, the same way you budget for your monthly rent, if you're renting, or your monthly other utility costs. Budget for home insurance. And there are some insurance companies who are offering, so if your annual insurance for your home, your property is $3,000, there are insurance companies offering monthly payments to cover your $3,000. So it may mean that we have to now engage in a policy level dialogue, as the caller alluded to. Can the government engage in a policy dialogue around home insurance? The answer is yes. The modality, the partnership with the insurance community has to be worked out. But that conversation internally in the National Democratic Congress is happening, and the arrangement for how to engage the stakeholders to have the current Build Back Better include some element of an insurance component has been on the table, is on the table, will remain on the table, and our overall policy framework around that is one that I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to share going forward.
All right. Mr. Barry, of course, we're going to come to that stage of the morning when we do have to take a wrap for today's program, but I know you may have some closing comments before we take a wrap. I beg of you to be brief, please, because we are a bit over time, a whole lot.
So I am going to be very brief to say thank you, GT. I must say, I have been told, GT, that you are extremely accommodating. I agree that you are extremely accommodating. Thank you very much. But when you are a friend of Alan G, then I expect you to be accommodating. So
let's say no more.
I'll end on one note. We look out for our children all the time. This is the government. In our first dispensation in 1990, GT, we looked out for the children. In 2008, we had preschool books. We looked out for the children. In 2022, the children and investing in our future is our signature platform. Signature platform. Every Christmas, we're grateful to our partners, the Chinese ambassador and the government and people of China for supporting our toy drive and so on. We are grateful to all our partners. We currently have a shipment of a 40-foot container of toys through the benevolence of a group in the US, and we have we now have to raise $6,500 towards shipping, and we are asking all who are prepared to contribute and can contribute to this toy drive initiative for all of our children. We don't spare which children, all of our children, just like we have universal policies on free tuition, universal policies on our toy drive distribution. So please, our ambassador for Diaspora Affairs, Terry Forrester, you can always contact him. And we have all the details. The Intermediary Bank, Bank of America, we have all the details for that. We can provide it for all who want to contribute. You can call me as well. You can call Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs for us to get the support to get these toys in. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure. And GT, again, thank you for your accommodation. Thank GBN for its accommodation as well. And we look forward to you interpreting the earlier caller's question, I think Citizen Rollo's question. It might be good for us to make a prior announcement of who's coming on once you have the prior information.
All right, sir. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Barry, and best wishes goes out to you for the rest of the day, sir. All the best.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's how we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. I want to thank all those who sat at home and listened some way or the other. Thank you so much for those of you who contributed some way or the other. Have yourself a great day, folks. That's where we say goodbye for this edition of To The Point. Goodbye, folks.